Ooh, doing my contact now. Hey. So what's going on? Yes, Mizzle Social Corner. So wait for people to come in a little bit. All that stuff like that. But yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. This is cute. I like it.
Yeah, like excited. Monday night. I was thinking like 8 o'clock might be a good. It was a good enough time to do it because I get people to come back from work and settle down a little bit. I don't want to do it too early because I called her had her live early around 3:50 today, and she talked a little bit just random things. It was mostly about the sneaker deal and the Nod-X move video, and she talked about other stuff that she showed up. All right, here's your Auntie Momo.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
how you doing?
Hi. Y'all are getting super low key Auntie Momo today, okay? She just got off work. You lucky I ain't got no powder. Making sure I ain't got no powder wrapped around my neck. You know I'm ghetto, baby.
Yes.
Gotta hit the makeup on the titties, okay? I got my old high school shirt on. Like when I tell y'all I'm like fresh off work, I went to a good little old nasty shower, baby. Got my mind right real quick. And I'm ready. Oh, that's my daddy calling me, y'all. Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
It's like, yeah, it's wait for people to come in. I know it's Monday, but I put it early enough, y'all. Oh no, maybe my banner. Let's see. Yeah.
So, what made you choose this topic as your first topic?
All right, because this topic was first topic because it just really ruined my mind, and I just say things and everything, and it just like it's always troubling when people always make the assumption that it's because my child's not biological or the child is not biological. Me, it's connected biology is not connected, and we don't have no thing, and it's no child's like it's for example. Well, it was somebody was saying that, oh yeah, you raising this kid and all that stuff like that. He said, oh yeah, but we're not biological. I said, why you have to emphasize that? It's like, what was the reason why you gotta say it's biological and stuff like that? And some people do feel like if the child is only meaningful to you if it's only biological. And so I was like, never seen that. I was like, okay, because you get this. I be seeing. I was saying, why y'all feel that type of way? It's like because if you adopt a child, if you're a single parent, and something like that, and not just like this. For the topic we're gonna talk about tonight, it was gonna be more of yes, child does it feel better of child raising by both their biological parents, and it emphasized the article emphasized marriage, help the marriage, and stuff like that. So if the child is raised by like a single parent or adoptive parent or foster parent, same sex thing, they say even though they say it doesn't mean that the child will not be wealthy or not wealthy, like successful or good, but they say it felt better it felt less than compared to a married couple who have kids and they both the mother and father contribute to that the well-being of the child. So that's how I was like. So I picked this as my first because I was like, it's a great stepping stone because it's something that a lot of people go through. It's like, yes, have your own is yours and this and that. You don't feel no connection with the child, and if it's not yours, and is even though you do take care of the child, you may still feel some slightly way that if I had my own, it would be different to have my own. People feel that way. That's like I was like, why do you feel that way? And to an extent that it has to be your own to be the child to raise up and be great, or it either fits the sense of purpose that it is your child. Why do they have to be a blood running through their veins for them to be yours? So that's the topic I chose. So, and there's a lot more in my mind that I think about.
Okay, here she is. Hi. I'm sorry. My dad is getting surgery tomorrow. And so, I was waiting to get the call from him on what time we need to go there. Here nor there, that does not matter. You have my undivided attention. So What are we talking about tonight again? I heard a little bit of it. I was listening, just a little bit.
Yes. Okay, so our topic will be, the question is, do children fare better when raised by their biological parents? So
Mm-hmm.
in this aspect of, is it the ideal of parenting if the child is raised by their own biological parents, like the mother and father being married? The article I picked up was mostly about marriage and a good, healthy thing, but I'm going along the line is, why people feel the need that if the child is not biological, you don't feel a connection, or it's not gonna be yours. It's not like that. There's no sense of belonging to you. So there's a lot of layers about this. So that's why I wanted to have a discussion about that. So do you agree that it's better the child raised by their own biological parents on top of, or do you feel like that's a better ideal parenting than other means of parenting, which is single parent, adopted
Mm-hmm.
parent, foster parent, same-sex parenting, and all that stuff like that. So, and I had
Well,
an article
see,
to discuss and dive into
for
it.
me, I'm a stepchild as well as I'm a step parent, so I get it from both ends. Me and my stepdad are close. Matter of fact, that's who just called me. And you see, I don't normally call him my stepdad. To me, that's my daddy. You know, he's been in my life since I was 2 years old. I'm about to be 41, so he's been my dad for as long as he was the only daddy that I knew for so long. My biological father, I actually met him. I talked to him on the phone for the first time when I was about 10 years old. I seen him in person for the first time when I was 13. And then I seen him again when I was 17, when he bought me my first car. And then I seen him again when I was 26. And then for about a year, I went and I lived up there with him because I all that time I didn't know him, and I was young, I didn't have kids, and so I figured, well, this will be, I was debating whether or not to move out of Texas. So I was like, well, this would be a good time to just kind of get to know him, whoop de whoop, yada yada yada. But here nor there, I'm saying that to say, like, me and my biological father, we have a good relationship, although he wasn't there physically. He was young, and him and my mother, they had their little fling or whatnot, but I got over any regrets that I had about him. But I do feel like it's a blessing in disguise that I was not raised by him, that I was raised by my stepdad, because my sisters on my father's side, they have all the book sense in the world and they have no street smarts. But with my stepdad, I have all the street smarts in the world, plus I have book smarts. You know what I mean? It's like I learned both of that from my stepdad. And my stepdad and my biological father are completely different, but they're exactly the same, if that makes any sense at all. Like, one is on one side, like on a political side, on the side of the law, whereas the other one did what he had to do, rob Peter to pay Paul, whatever he had to do. You know what I'm saying? So they're two polar opposites. But I feel like if I wasn't raised with my stepfather, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And as far as kids being raised in the same sex household, I don't feel like it would damage or hurt a child, because you have kids that are raised with both a mother and a father, and they excuse me, I don't want to cuss on your child, but they messed up in the head. Like, they real messed up in the head. And you was raised with both your mama and your daddy, and you messed up in the head. But I see couples that are same sex. I have friends that are same sex couples that have kids, and their kids is just fine. They don't see nothing. Now, as for me, what I see more as being an issue is when you have different people around your child all the time that's calling your kid, your kids is calling daddy or calling mama. That's just me. That's what I think. But I don't feel like it, in my opinion, just because I am a stepchild, I don't feel like it makes a difference if a child is raised by their biological parents as opposed to if they're raised by step parents. Like I don't, just because I had it good. Like I said, I learned a lot. I learned a lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of really ugly.
Mhm.
But I feel like I learned a lot. You know what I mean? But what was I gonna say? The one thing I think I do have an issue with, and I hope don't nobody come for me when I say this, I have an issue when people of different races want to go and adopt little black babies. That's what I have an issue with. When you want to go and adopt your little black baby from a different country, Tracy, don't look at me like Tracy. Look at me, Tracy. Don't do me like that, sis. Don't do me like that, sis. No. That's the only. Just because I feel like some people, they're not in it for the right reasons. And then not only that, I fall down this rabbit hole. Hey, Collarboo. I fall down this rabbit hole of watching a lot of stuff on TV, on social media that I shouldn't be watching. And I was watching, it was on Twitter or something, but it was this young black boy that was adopted into this white family. And he was being bullied by the brothers, but he didn't realize that. Like they had took pictures of him with them doing the George Floyd pose with him on the floor and like their knee in his neck, like pictures like that. They took another picture where they had like a little rope around his neck, and he's like laughing, like, because he don't know no better, no different from that. You know what I mean? If and to me, like, where are those kids learning that from?
Yeah.
Where are they seeing that from? And mom or dad, do you know about this? And if you know about this, are you okay with this? Have you said something to this? Because it just seems like some I don't know. I had a conversation with a coworker of mine about that, because I don't know. I'm just kind of finicky when it comes to that.
Well, yeah, that. Tracy.
Okay. So I was raised in like your stereotypical.
You sound muffled.
Yeah, your volume's a little bit low.
Oh, you know what? Hold on.
No, there we go. Until that us. There we go.
I know the devil is a lie.
Okay, he'll lie. The truth is not nowhere in him. Hallelujah.
So anyway, I'm gonna show y'all my new intro I created for this segment, and put that in there. Oh, Sonia about to join in.
Let's get into it.
All right.
Mizzle social corner.
Oh yes.
Mizzle social corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle social corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle social corner. I got a question for you.
What's up there at? Yes. What's going on?
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
What's so
Where he go?
I don't know where he went. All right, y'all. So
I like that look. I like the little intro.
thank
I'm
you.
gonna have to play it again.
All right, hold up. Let's see.
I'm gonna show you how.
Mizzle social corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle social corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle social corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle social corner. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
All right, now get into it. Get into it.
Just too grown over there.
Yeah. So people who just joined in and everything, I know people it's Monday night and everything trying to come in, but Mondays and most Mondays are going to do a social corner where it's just going to be mostly social topics that is not reality TV show or anything like that. It's going to be topics that I came across and it's like, you know what? Let's have a discussion about it because it could be controversial. It could be any side. There's no right and wrong answer. It's let's have an open discussion and give our opinions and feedback on stuff like that. So this first beginning topic of today will be about the title: Do children fare better raised in the two biological parents' home? And more in this mindset of why people feel the need that the child is not, you don't feel complete if the child is not your bio, if the child is your biological or not. Like people say that, well, yeah, it's good raised, but it's not mine. It's not my blood. It's not this. They emphasizes that. Why do people feel the need that if the child needs to be a biological for you to have the love for them or to be raised them or to be anything for them like that? And it just something that I just come up put in my mind. Like also, I remember back in the past, James Caldwell, you know, he has his own channel, Spiller Boy TV, and he mentioned then how his cousin asked him. He said, "Oh, well, the children you have, they're not yours." He said, "What you mean?" "I have a legally adoption papers of these kids." He said, "Well, it's not yours because you didn't make them, you didn't create them." So a lot of people feel the need that it has to be biological to raise your children and to be that, or is two-parent married household or better parent indicators than single-parent household, adopted household, foster parent, cohabitating parenting, same-sex parenting, and anything else. So what I'm gonna have is like we each share our own. Hope O'Neil comes back. I don't know what happened to him, but we each share our own experiences. And we're gonna have some questions, and I'm gonna have questions for y'all, and we're gonna have an article we can dissect. And this coming thing, like I said, it's no right and wrong answer. It's your own opinion. It's like that. Do you agree with it? Do you don't agree with it? So like that, and then we discuss and also chat. You can share your own personal experience, and then we can go from there. All right. Hey Renee, what's going on?
Renee, my boo.
All right. So the topic is: do children fare well to raised in the biological parent household? So before we say we agree or not disagree, what comes to mind when you hear that question? Like what you is coming from when that question has been brought to you? It's like, okay, what is it trying to ask me about?
I mean, it just depends. Is this coming from somebody who's like, let me think how I know the question I want to ask. I don't feel like, now, of course, I like I said, I don't feel like it's a problem with step parents or whatever. First of all, why would you want to be with somebody that looks at your kids anyway like they not your kids? A child should be like, when you are dating somebody or whatever in a relationship, your child is a package deal. So the fact that you would even think that why would you even want to be with somebody that's not going to accept your kids like they your own anyway? That's why I said, like, the problem I do got is when you got different stepdaddies that's coming in and out. When your baby got 4 and 5 stepdaddies in a year, baby, it's only 12 months in a year. How long did we take a break in between? You know what I'm saying? But yes, Tracy, yes. Tracy, them faces ain't gonna kill me. Tracy, them faces ain't gonna kill me. But I do believe that it's better for children to be raised with two parents in the household. Absolutely. Now, whether it's got to be two mamas or two daddies, that don't make a difference to me. As long as the two mamas and the two daddies or whomever, and like I said, you can have a mama and a daddy and you can still be messed up in the head. A lot of very famous killers and murderers was raised in a family with their mamas and their daddies in nice suburban households and stuff like that. Went to the finest schools and had the finest things, and they still ended up out here doing hood rat shit with their hood rat friends. Hey, Taquila, girl, hi. But now, I definitely feel like kids need to be raised with two, especially, and this is biased because I am African American, yes, but black, especially in black families, they need two parents in the household. we are the type that feels, I will believe anyway, that it takes a village. So yeah, you need two parents in the household. That's what I feel.
Tracy.
So I grew up in like the stereotypical family. Like my parents have been married for like 40 some odd years. So a two-parent household to me was always like a mom and a dad. But that was like, to me, that is what normal is. It wasn't like a I didn't realize that people didn't have two parents in a household until I was like in elementary school, because my mom was also a stay-at-home mom. My mom didn't start working until I was in middle school, and I'm the baby of 10. So my mom didn't
Oh
work.
wow.
My mom didn't work, and it wasn't because it was because she had a ton of kids. So like it was different. But then once I got in middle school, she started working so she would have something to do. So for me, like I grew up with the idea because everyone in my family was married. So to me, it was very like I was just like, oh, like you have a mom and a dad, and then I went to school and they was like, oh, da, da, da. And I was like, you know your dad? And I was like, do I know my dad? Yeah, I know my dad. What do you mean? Do I know my dad? Like he lives in the house with me. And I was like, he live in the house with you? Yeah, like what twilight zone do you live in? Where do your daddy live?
Wow.
Oh, man.
I was so shocked that that wasn't
It's a
like
club.
the norm, but that's because in my family that was the norm. So to me, it wasn't a big thing of. So when someone asks me, should a child grow up in a two-parent household, or here's a better idea, my parents were both married young, like they were married for like 2 years to someone else. They both had a child with someone else. They got divorced, they got together, got married, and been together over 40 years. I didn't realize that my oldest brother was not my dad's child until his father passed away. My dad never called him a stepchild. He never called my dad stepdad.
Absolutely.
Nothing. Like, so I never do. And my dad was like, if you feed a kid long enough, they'll start to look like you. So he never treated him. If
Yep.
we got a whooping, he got a whooping. It was no different.
Yep.
Like it was even across the board. Like his children called my dad granddad. Like so my to us it was so I think, but I was also like 20 when I realized that my brother's dad wasn't my dad. Like I was like, wait, what? And it was like, I was like, oh, well, that's odd. But I guess it wasn't, because he had never treated him any different. And you know what? It didn't dawn on me that my brother's last name was different than my dad's last name. Didn't even dawn on me as a thing, although it truly is. He was like, yeah, I got my dad's. He was like, I'm named after my dad, but he was like, this is my dad for all intents and purposes. That is my dad. And my brother was like, when my parents got married, my brother was like 5 or 6, and he knew his dad. He had seen his dad. I had seen this man come get my brother, and it never dawned on me to ask my mom, like, who is this strange man coming to pick him
Yeah.
up? Like, it never dawned on me. But I think because my mama would have probably backhanded me had I questioned her. But it just
Hmm.
never dawned on me to ask, like, who is this person coming to pick him up? But my dad never did anything any different. So to me, it was like, okay. Um, I would say that then when I had my son, I ended up being a single parent, not by choice, but that's the way the cards crumbled. So I was the first person to be a single parent in like my immediate family. So I was the oddball. So I had my entire family like villaged around me. Like my mom
Mm.
stopped working to take care of my son so he wouldn't go to daycare. And like my sister would pick up and take him and do things like that. So I had a village because it was
Oh
just
wow.
me. So I was like, oh, okay. And then when I got married, my husband like literally went to court to get legal rights to my son to become his dad. Like
I know
that
that's right.
was
Come on now.
for him, he was
Come
like,
on now.
there is no such thing as a stepchild. This is my son. And when we got divorced, this joker took me to court for visitation. I was hot mad. Hot mad. Like, so
Well,
yeah,
that's his bad.
it sounded good. That joker took me to court. He was like, I'll pay my child support. You're gonna give me my son. And I was like, the devil is a lie. the, the devil. And my
Hmm.
son My son is graduating from high school this year and was like, Mom,
Oh
is it okay if
wow.
I invite my dad to my graduation? And I was like, yeah. He was like, no, not my biological dad, but Daniel, my dad. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So he still calls my ex-husband his
That's
dad to this
good.
day. They play video games together. They're Xbox Live friends.
That's
They do this, they do that.
amazing.
They
I love that.
we live in different states now, so he doesn't see him as often, but he still
Mhm.
keeps up a connection with him that is completely detached from me, has nothing to do with me. Like them two are
That's a
just
blessing.
still like freaking frat. And he was like that's my son. So I have nothing, to go kind of against that. So I was like, okay, that's due. So then I have like a deadbeat baby. He's not a deadbeat. I'm gonna say that. That's terrible. Cause that man,
She said he's not a
that's
deadbeat.
terrible. Cause that man, you know what? He
He's
does pay.
dead.
He does pay child support, but I don't see it. Like we agreed that the child support would go into an
Oh,
account for my son for graduation. Cause I was like, I refuse to take a penny from you because I can't stand you. I'll run you over with my car, pull in reverse, hit you again, put you out your misery, and go
come on
about my
now.
business. But that's neither here nor there. So for
Run you
me,
over.
I
Hit
have
you
this.
again, nigga.
What? Hit you in reverse, put you out your misery. Problem solved. Ain't got no problems there. Um, but so for me, in my mind, the way this works, the best place for a child is, of course, always going to be in a
Mhm.
two-parent household with two loving parents if it is healthy. If it is unhealthy,
Exactly.
then that's the last place they need to be. Single parent healthy, auntie, uncle healthy. Any place that is healthy is the best place to raise a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, having both parents that love you would be beautiful. That's great. But if your two parents that both love you fighting like cats and dogs, then
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not the most ideal place. Like I have a sister who my sister can't have kids. So that was just kind of her journey in life. She's unable to have children. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll do it. Like, fine. If you want to have a baby, just let me know and I'll carry a child. I don't have a problem with it. Love you to pieces. That's great for you. So, that'll kind of deal that. But my sister has taken in more children than I could count to love on, care
Yeah.
for, raise.
Oh,
And I
wow.
mean, it's like family members' kids. It's like, oh, you were down on your luck. And so she took in your child for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, loved on your baby, took care of your baby, did all of this. And then once you were on your feet, she gave you back to your mama or daddy. So I can understand it from multiple avenues depending on how you're looking at it. Because sometimes if you have one person that loves you tenfold, that's more than probably two parents could ever love you in your
Absolutely.
life.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So it
That's
just
true.
really depends. So to me, the key is not one parent versus two, same sex parent, anything like that, biological, adopted. It's, are you in a healthy household? If it's healthy, then by all means, have at it. But I also agree with Auntie Momo. If you picking up kids from other races just to pick up kids from other races because they cute to have, and
Yeah.
tell people that you adopted this little third world baby, from a third world country to do your part. I'm gonna need y'all to go back to where y'all came from because that just ain't right. That's just not right.
It ain't right. We are not, our babies are not Michael Kors bags, okay? You
Yeah.
can't just go and buy us and show our babies off like that. Like that's mm-mm,
Just bad. Just bad.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So my upbringing, I was gonna talk about that next. No, we're gonna talk about that next. But when I heard about that, when I saw that thing, I said, okay, is they trying to say that it's better off or they fare more better if they raised by their own biological parents, not just two people, just their own biological and the children and the raised, they are better health wise, they have better jobs, they raise better than other counterparts. So if it's not the two ideal husband and mother, father, husband and wife, and mother father raising a kid, so any other forms of parenting is not ideal in the eyes of the society. So if you raised by a single parent, it's not ideal. It is a single parent, but they will fare poorly. You're gonna read the story like that, the article, but that's some of the things that people were saying. It's like, okay, children be best in the society if it's by their own biological mother and father, and it's a healthy environment. Now, if it's not healthy, yes, I agree with y'all. If it's not healthy, then it shouldn't be that. But what about if they divorce and they have co-parenting and cohabit and stuff like that? Or what about if mother and father is not married and they cohabiting and parents of the child and living together? Is that healthy? Was a child be raised not as much in the counterpart of married children who have married people who have children? So it's like, what is that basic? You make it that's the ideal, and anything besides that is less than that ideal parenting structure. So, and even today, people still feel like, okay, if it's not mine, I'm not really that connected to the child. I said, why? That's just like how you don't feel that, and it just pains me today. Just like that when we saw that movie thing, they were trying to extra honor. That guy took care of all three of the girls, and two of the girls, and it wasn't his. But daughters feel like, oh no, that's my dad because he's biologically runs in my veins. He's not your father, it's like that, but he's all your father. But at the same, it's like it's that thing that people feel like, no, you're not biological. They treat you differently, and I'm biological. That's my thing, and that's it. So it's
well,
a lot.
I could
Come for that.
For me, nobody, and probably it's a lot of people probably now on my stepdad's side of the family that don't even know that my stepdad is not my dad, just because that's how much of my dad he has always been my entire life. That's
Black
like I said, Black Diamond and baby sis in the house. And if I will say, and I was thinking about this when you told me what it was going to be about. Now, my grandmother, my stepdad's mom, I called her Meemaw. And out of all the kids, I was the only one. I think me and my baby sis may have called her Meemaw, but I know for sure I was the only one that called her Meemaw. And I remember being real young and she told me to call her Meemaw. I remember being young. My other cousins like Renita and even Andrea and Dinitra and Dunda, all of them would get in trouble. They get spankings and whoopings. I would be around it. I wouldn't be in the shit. But as long as I go over there to Meemaw, wasn't nothing gonna happen to me. Everybody else getting whooped. My Aunt Phyllis is whooping everybody's ass. As long as I was right there by Meemaw, she was gonna take care of me. When it came to Christmas, her handing out gifts, everybody got gifts. I got a gift too. Just like my grandfather, my Grandpa Brown. Everybody knew who Grandpa Brown was. Everybody in the family, and like I said, there's probably still some family members now. When a lot of my cousins found out that my stepdad wasn't my real dad, they was like, "Oh, for real? Freddie ain't your daddy? For real? Oh, I thought he was your daddy." Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, that's how much of my daddy that he's always been to me and to my older sisters. Like to this day, to right now, to what time is it? 7:34 p.m. Central Time. I could call him right now and be like, "Daddy, I need you," for no matter what it is. He gonna drop whatever he's doing and he's gonna come right then, right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like I said, for hell, I have a good relationship with my biological father. Don't get me wrong. We have a good relationship. You know what I'm saying? But me and my stepdad for the longest, because like I said, that was the dad that I had there with me every day, whether it was good, bad, or really ugly. At the end of the day, he was my daddy. You know what I mean? And so that's who I've always. So like you said, Tracy, you didn't know that your older brother wasn't your dad's child. A lot of my family and to this day, I'm sure it's many cousins still to this day that probably don't know that my stepdad ain't my dad, because that's just how much of my dad that he's been. But like Tracy said, to me, it don't matter if it's two women in the house, if it's two men in the house, if it's a white man and a black woman, or a white woman and a black man. It don't matter. As long as that child is in a healthy, safe environment, that's what matters when it comes to raising a child. Because like I done said it, you can have a mama and a daddy and you can still be batshit crazy. It don't matter. Some of the most famous crazy ass folks grew up with mama and daddies in the house and they batshit crazy. And then you got some other people that were raised in single parent households that, baby, they are doing major things. Damn it, they taking over the world, So, like, I agree with Tracy. As long as that child is raised in a healthy environment, it could be the grandparents raising the baby. It don't matter. It could be only the dad raising the baby. It don't matter. As long as that baby is healthy and safe, that's all that matters.
You know what? I think two things that also have a lot to do with it is the mindset of the generation that is parenting the kids. Because I'll say this, my parents are older, like
Mhm.
older. Like my dad was born in 1933, my mom was born in 1940. So to
Wow.
me, most people are like, those are my grandparents. I'm like, no, those are my parents. Like those are my
Wow.
parents. So my parents are older. Like my mom had me when she was like 40, like 42 or something like that. Like my mom had me when she was later
Oh,
in
Lord,
life.
child, I'm 40. I wish I would get pregnant right now, child.
All right, so let me tell you, my
I'm a
mom went to go.
pass out. Woo!
Listen, my mom went to go have a hysterectomy because she had fibroids, and like they were on the
Damn,
thing, and they were like, "Oh, well, let's do this just in case because you're about to have surgery." And it was like, "Oh shit, I'm here. Hi!" And she didn't get to have her
baby.
surgery because I was just there, chilling, hanging out, and
Yeah.
like so.
I wouldn't even say shit to my husband. I just go in there and start swinging on his ass.
Sucks to be you. So like I was, but
Woo!
there's also like
I was like,
a
hmm.
12-year age gap between me and my next closest sibling. There's 12 years in between us. So I was
Yeah, it's
really
10
just
years
like,
between me and my baby sis. Yeah.
so I was really just like,
That's still my nigga,
hey,
though.
I was the ultimate surprise.
Yeah.
But I would say because the age frame of my parents is a very different mentality. I was born with a mentality that was very understanding, accepting, and like this is family. None of this other stuff matters. It's family, period.
Mm-hmm.
There is no nothing else. Where I have a cousin who, listen, I'm gonna say this right now. She is not my biological cousin. Don't come for me. She technically is not part of my family. She is 25. She has 6 kids. She has 6 baby daddies. And
Right.
Dr. Lena is just continuing on her merry, happy Dr. Lena life. And the way she parents her kids
Here come,
is
here comes Sir Neil.
I'm sorry. Remember, you guys didn't
Echoing
specify
shit.
East Coast, West Coast time, and I was in the grocery store and I get the notice, and I'm like, oh, again. Y'all don't love me. Y'all do not love me.
I'm
oh,
Eastern. That's what you
You know
said.
I love
shit.
you.
But I would say she was that person that Auntie Mama you were saying like, ooh, a guy come.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Sir Neil and his echo.
I'm echoing.
Yes. Y'all, we need to put in and get Sir Neil
A
some
family
new.
page.
You have to turn the echo cancellation off. You remember we found that out last night.
You know,
It
I
was
would say
working.
she was that person who when you was like, oh, all the different people parenting your kids and being in your house with your kids, and you having this stepdaddy and that stepdaddy and this guy around your house, that's her. She is the epitome of
See,
that right there. And when I tell you her kids are
Echo.
very yes, yes, you are echoing. But her kids are very different from our same siblings that are of the same age. Their mindsets and mentalities are very different. They like, oh, you gonna come do this for me? Oh, are you my? Oh, you gonna come? And I'm like, who? Like every man is like, oh, that's my dad now. My dad now. I was like, now? Who
hell no.
says? So I also think the mentality of people also have played a lot into their factors about those things. Cause we was very quick to be like, girl, you pregnant again, but you just met him.
Okay.
But you just met him. Oh, okay. And your kids call him daddy. Okay. And then he go to
See,
jail and then she had a baby and then a new one come and then that's their daddy now. And I'm like, oh, okay. But they household is all types of crazy, messed up and wrong. So again, I say that she have two. She got two parents in the household at all times because she keep her a man and
Multiple.
she keep a
and a
daddy on
baby.
rotation. Okay.
She keep a
Talk
daddy on
about a blended
rotation, and
family.
them kids all terrible, and they all types of jacked up. So two
Oh
parents in a
wow.
household does not mean perfection. Don't let
Yes.
them
That's too many
fool you like
that's
No.
too
that.
many personalities. Those kids are probably taken from all those different men, taking on too many different traits.
It's
That's what's
me.
probably wild.
Yes.
It needs
Hey,
stability.
Kitty
All
says,
children
hey,
need
Black
stability.
Diamond, Takola. Yes, I appreciate
I,
putting
do,
on
I have a question.
Mhm.
Do y'all think it can be confusing? Say, for instance, if a woman has a different man and a different woman coming in and out of the house
Oh
from
yeah,
time to time.
yes, I've seen those situations. Yes, and it's quite
I'm gonna
confusing
need
to
you
the
to stop
kids.
talking about
It's
my family, Auntie
sunshine.
Momo.
You say what?
I'm gonna need you to stop talking about my family, Auntie Momo.
I'm just saying, no. This is what
No,
we hear. We
that's
are
her too.
here.
That's her too, because she can't choose which way she's swinging this day or the next. So she has
Everybody
been,
needs
it's
love.
been mama, daddy. It's just depending on how it is. Her current boyfriend, baby daddy, is mad because he like, oh, you gonna leave me for a woman, and then y'all gonna be a happy family. So no, it, it don't make no difference. Again,
And
if the
see,
household dysfunctional, it's a
Yeah.
problem.
see,
Mhm.
that's
Problem.
the kind of, and I like I said, I don't want nobody to come for me, but I feel like that's the kind of stuff on the long term that can really fuck kids up in the head. Not
Yeah,
only with relationships, interpersonal, like intimate relationships, but I would just think relationships with people in general, because you've seen your mama like
back and forth.
back and forth and back. You know what I mean?
And you know, one thing I believe, when people are always falling in love just for the sake of love, to have somebody around and they got a bunch of kids, the kids are being dragged up with it. You know what I'm saying? The
Yep.
kids they need to have the most attention, but they're busy trying to have a partner to be in love. The kids they're confused between the woman, the man, everybody daddy, everybody mama. They need stability, and if they can't get that, that's dysfunction. You can't expect the president to come out of a dysfunctional home. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect the next neurosurgeon to come out of a dysfunctional home. You need stability. And as far as two parents, I know a lot of women as one parent playing mama and the daddy has brought their children in a stellar way. You know what I'm saying? On her own, and those children are college graduated, Navy vets, and so on and so forth. So two parent household, yeah, we'll be lucky to have that. But I've seen it done a one parent household, be it a woman
Mm-hmm.
or a man, as a single parent.
Yep.
All right. So the question is, I know most of y'all already discussed it, but I had a question said, what was your family dynamics growing up and list any changes? And we go each down the line. And I was talking about myself first, and then we go down the line. And then the
Go ahead.
follow-up is, what is your current family dynamics as an adult in your household? And does it mimic to your childhood and everything? Because it's the reason why I asked the question, because brings into the article about the argument whether you agree or disagree of the statement of should they have two parent household, and that's the ideal biological standard. It's like that. So I'll go first. Growing up childhood, I was raised in a single parent household. My mother raised my brother and myself by herself. I have an older brother that was raised by my grandma, so he wasn't living with us. So it was just me and him. I was raised as an older child in our household, even though I was the middle child by birth.
Mm.
That's been like throughout my whole life. It was just only me, my mom, and my younger brother. So that's just that. Currently in my household, I'm a single person. I don't have any children or anything. But if I do get with someone so like that, I'm I'm not opposed to have a child with someone who I'm with. But as a single person, no, that's not happening because my work schedule, all that stuff, it doesn't conducive to me having being a single parent right now. But with someone else, it would be happening. So my dynamic is mostly the household. So I was like, yes, my mom raised me. My father never, I know who he is, but he never came around and trying to be a parent and all that stuff like that. So I don't feel the need that I will be less fortunate or less well off than someone who's raised in a two parent household and everything because I have been raised by my own mom and I'm turned out well. But so like that. And yes, but even though she was my biological mom, it's like she's still my mom. She's a biological mom and everything. So I don't feel the need and say that, oh, the child has to be a biological to be healthy, raised, and be successful individual. And whether it is a married household or not, because they did emphasize, the article this emphasize married household. So it does come to point like that's like the ideal. Like anything outside of that, the children's not will be well raised as that typical black standard. So that was my upbringing and my current style standard. And we're gonna go down the line, and then we're gonna go to the article. Let's do Sunil because y'all came and y'all said let's do Sunil.
Certainly. Okay. Well, I was put in a foster care system at the age of 4. At the age of 4, because my parents were wayward. My mother was irresponsible, and my father was irresponsible. Um, my first foster home was horrible. I was an abused foster child, so I am a foster care survivor. Um, but then my adopted mom adopted me when I was turning 7, and she gave me the world. She was a real mother, and when I went from like the hood to a middle class black family. My mom raised me well. She always kept me in contact with my birth mother and my birth father. But as I was growing up, they were still in their mischief. But my adopted mom, she was she was a secretary of the elementary school I went to. She was involved in the community, so her references is everything that I have with my black pride, with family, with friendship, the way I conduct myself. She endowed me with all of that. I would say out of anything with no blood, she was the most beneficial parental guidance that I have to this day. Both my biological parents have passed on. My mom died when I was 12. My dad died when I was 22. Um, but she always supported me, and she always, told me to keep my head up and look over the family situation because that could be daunting for a lot of people that don't have family. But with that communication that she instilled in me, I was always able to make lifelong friends and, always be adopted. I'm somebody's nephew, you know what I'm saying? All my dad's he's always looked after me, you know what I'm saying? So I was blessed with what my mother, my adopted mom, Margaret, gave me. As for my home now, representing reflection of her, me and my partner have been together for going on 11 years now. 10, we hit 10 in November.
All right.
And I always kept it like that. I wish I was loose sometimes, but, I was always like a stickler. You know, I'm too old to be loose now, but I
Child.
always, I've had like a handful of boyfriends, contrary to that. And I like that way. Me and my husband, this is our family and we have our immediate friends, lesbian and straight. All of our immediate friends are in partnerships, married or just long-term relationships. And so that's my family structure. And that's predominantly what I attract are people that are in family structures. People are looking for family structures and people that understand the fucked up part of family structures. It was like wounded people always find wounded people, but the people that heal from their wounds find each other and stick together. People that heal
Amen.
together. I've met a lot of people throughout the foster care system that have gone on and survived because those are scars of PTSD and physical scars that we have to deal with. And sometimes they hinder the family structure or wanting to have a family structure because it was so fucked up in the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I have faith in the family structure. I like the OG style and I like the new wave style. You can look at me, I'm a new wave style. I'm a gay black man in a monogamous relationship, you know what I'm saying? And that's rare in our gay community. You know what I'm saying? So that's my family structure right there.
Well, I need
Um,
to share it again.
oh, no worries, no worries. I was raised, of course, with my mom and my stepfather. My stepfather has been my dad since I was 2 years old, but I don't call him my stepdad. To me, that's daddy. That has always been daddy. I met my biological father has always been in my life financially, but physically, no, he wasn't there. First time I talked to him on the phone, I was 10 years old. I met him in person for the first time when I was 13. I seen him again when I was 17 when he bought me my first car. And then I seen him again when I was right around 25 or 26. And then at that point, I was, wanting to move out of Texas anyway. And so I ended up moving to Kentucky just to, kind of get to know him more. Because over the years, we had developed a relationship. But that was my first time ever actually being with him for more than 24 hours, I guess you could say, you know what I mean? For a whole year. And I ended up coming back because my mother had cancer and she ended up passing away. But my stepdad, like I said, my stepdad he's not stepdad, he's daddy. That's for the longest, that's all the daddy that I knew, and me and my biological father, we do have a good relationship. Like now, we're really close now. I had to get over a lot of resentment because, and I didn't realize that, I would say, until I was much older, that a lot of the things that I did or that I had done or that I was into, all of that was because I was lacking something, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until I got old, I wouldn't say lacking something. I would just say it wasn't until I got older that I realized where just a lot of anger, I guess you could say that, because I had an attitude when I was young. I had an attitude. I would be all right with fighting. I didn't care, you know what I mean? And a lot of that, as I got older, like I said, it was from that feeling of, oh yeah, I'll fight you. I don't give a shit. I'll fight your ass. But a lot of that was feeling rejected, I guess you could say, from my biological dad. It's like, you didn't want me, but you would pay money not to have, you know what I mean? It was just a lot that I had to grow through and to learn from. And but there were a lot of times that, you know, my stepdad was in and out of the house, and my mom, regardless of what, my mama was there. You know, if I didn't have nobody else, I always had my mom, regardless. So when my mom passed away, she passed away in '07, August of '07. I had just turned 27. To me, that was the time that I had to grow up. Because even though I was 27, I was grown, but I wasn't grown. I feel like until after I lost my mom, you know what I mean? And just fast forward to today, you know, I am married. Me and my husband have been married for, February was 10 years. We've been together, this May will be 14 years. We have a son together. For me, it was important to have a marriage and to have my child. That's what was important for me. Because I guess in my mind, I just wanted to know that, and you know, you can never make a plan for what your future is going to be. You know what I mean? But in my mind, it's like, okay, the one thing that I always wanted was my mom and my dad together, because my mama, throughout all of that time, my mama has never in her life said, hey, Miss Joyce, my mama ain't never said a bad thing about my daddy up until the time that she let me talk to him on the phone when I was 10 years old till the day she passed away. She has never in her life said one bad negative thing about my dad, which was even more confusing to me because she spoke highly of him, like, your daddy loves you. Oh yeah, your daddy said this for you. Oh yeah, your daddy asked about you. Oh yeah, this. I'm like, well, why the nigga ain't tell me that? Why the nigga ain't pick up the phone and call? Why he gotta tell you he love me? You know what I'm saying? But I mean, you know, it is what it is. So like, again, that's what had me even more confused. Like, dang, mama, you say he this good dude, but where he been? But then again, at the same time, I always had my stepdaddy regardless. That's why I said it was a blessing in disguise that I wasn't raised with my biological father, because I would have had all the book sense in the world, but come to the streets, I would have been dumb as shit. My stepdad, he taught me the books. He taught me the streets. He taught me about life. He taught me about money. He taught me how to drive. He taught me how to ride my bike. He taught me how to lean with my left and follow through with my right. My daddy taught me all that. He taught me if they come to grab your hair, you lean in for it. You don't pull back. You lean in. You start swinging. My daddy taught me that. And like I said, to this day, it was important for me to just know that my child was going to have both parents in their life, because more so I had it, but I didn't have it, if that makes any sense. It's like I had it, but I didn't have it. I was missing, but I really wasn't missing. I was lacking, but then I really wasn't lacking. And so it's like I said, it wasn't until I got older that I realized that, damn, I was mad because of this, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was doing this because I felt like this. Once I started taking psychology classes, when I was doing online college, it's amazing the things that you learn about yourself and about other people, and really, like I said, just a self-reflection. When I took that psychology class, I guess I don't know if I sort of taught myself through those books to realize that, dang, you know, you had a lot going on with you, and a lot of that stemmed from my daddy not being there. You know what I mean? But I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I am blessed to be able to have my husband that is here every day. I mean, he was there when I made his ass. He was there when I pushed him out, and he been there to this very day. But at the same time, single parent households, my baby sister's doing it. She got two of them little big head babies, and she's doing it. She's holding it down. You know what I mean? Their dad is there, like he's around. He takes care of them. He ain't no dad. He ain't never been no deadbeat daddy. You know what I'm saying? But as far as a household, they're every day wiping their ass, cleaning their snot, fixing them something to eat because these little motherfuckers eat up everything, grocery shopping, cleaning clothes, all that. My baby sister is there. And so it don't really matter. You could have a partner that you've been with for forever and the household still be fucked up. You know what I mean? So it don't matter. Two parents in the house, one parent in the house, as long as then, you know what I'm saying? It's that healthy. But that's what I wanted for my family was something healthy. I'm talking too much, but that's what I wanted for my family. That's where we are right now.
Okay. Tracy?
So I'm the boring one. So I grew up in the like the stereotypical like two parent household. My parents have been married for over 40 years. They've been married all my life, and as far as anybody else can remember. So for me, it was I didn't realize that kids didn't have both parents in the house until I was in school and someone asked me like, "Oh, do you know your dad?" And I was like, "Do I know my dad? Yeah, I know my dad." I was like, "I just seen him this morning." I was like, "He live in the house with you?" Like, yeah, where he supposed to live? Like, I was so confused because that is all that I knew was
Yeah.
two parent households. Like my grandparents were married for like until both of them passed away. My aunts, my uncles, everyone in my immediate family
Mm-hmm.
is married or their partner has passed on. But there's very like little divorce in my family. So then when I was a teen mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an interesting conversation to have with my parents. But that's what happened. And
Right.
then when that didn't work out, my ex-husband, when I met him, we got married and he adopted my son. Like he took his father to court for legal custody of my son. So he became
Mm-hmm.
his father. He never called him stepson. He wasn't a stepdad. He wasn't there was never any of that. Like that was his son. He legally adopted his ass. That was his.
Yep.
So then when we got divorced, he took me to court for visitation. And that was frustrating because I was hot mad. Like
He said, "That's my baby, damn it. You ain't gonna keep me.
I was
My
like,
baby, god damn it."
I was like, the devil is a lie. I was like, that's not how this works. I get the, and it was like, well, no, because he's his. So, and
He
to
stepped
this
up. You
day,
got
like, they
Okay,
don't,
yup.
he
like,
stepped
they
up.
have a converse, like, they still talk. We don't live in the same state anymore.
Years
But
ago. Oh
they
wow.
play video games online together. They talk with each other.
Mhm.
They still have a very good relationship outside of me. And my son has said like, hey, I didn't want to get you in the middle, so they've always continued on their friendship outside of me or their relationship and their bond outside of me. So
That's
my son
beautiful.
is actually graduating
That's,
high school this year, and he was like, "Mom, can I invite my dad to my graduation?" And I was like, yeah. And he was like, "No, not my biological dad, like Daniel, my stepdad. Can I invite my dad to my graduation?" So,
Yeah.
because that is to him, that is his dad. That is the
I
only
know that's
dad my
right. You
son knows.
sure right.
And even when we left, he was like, "Fight me for him, cause that's mine." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." So
Okay.
That's a
I do
bomb.
find it to be one of those things where you can grow to love somebody like they're your own, and
Mhm.
nobody can tell you different. Like nobody can tell him that that is not his child. Like literally to this day, if you go look, he be like, "Oh yeah, I have one son," and I was like, bitch, no, you don't. But okay, fine, whatever fantasy world you live
You
in.
gave him the permission. You gave him the permission, Tracy.
Yeah, that,
You
Exactly.
gave him the go ahead.
But
You gave him the
see, I
go ahead.
wasn't thinking that far ahead in the beginning. I was just like, oh, that's cute. Yeah, sure, fine. No, but I didn't think really what that meant legally. I didn't think about that. That's not what that meant to me at all. So it was real frustrating when I was like, oh no, I'm filing for divorce. I'm leaving. And he was like, you're not taking my son. I was like, the hell?
Not
I was like,
today.
watch me. Packed up
That's
my
the
car, packed
bomb.
up the stuff, and he was like, he literally called the police and was like, nah, see this paper? That's mine. Get my son up out that car. I was like, you dirty
Oh
bitch.
yeah, I didn't
I
have to
was
fight that
I
nigga. Hold on now, nigga.
mad.
Hold on
But
now.
that's a double-edged sword. Don't we want men to fight like that for their children, even if
We
they
do, but
adopted
that
that?
But
You
not like
know,
that. Not then. Not at that moment. Not
I
not
want
at
you to
that moment.
fight, but the nigga don't fight me.
Exactly.
Okay, pick and choose your battle. This ain't the battle you want. You don't want the
if I'm gonna
smoke,
fight back,
okay?
motherfucker.
Yeah. I was hot and mad. That was so it's been one of those things to see just like it's interesting. Like but okay.
You so stupid.
okay. So based on all our stories, we all had different walks of background. I love that and everything. So how do you feel when people say that, oh, because most of us have unorthodox, I think, sexual traces who this or that, but who grow in a two-parent household. How do you feel that somebody come to you and say that, well, your family structure is not ideal because you're not the standard married husband, wife, two kids, biological, raised in a household, and in your current household, you will not turn up to be great because you probably be poorer, you will probably be less successful than the ideal biological standard, even though it probably sounds like that. But how you feel if someone will tell you that growing up with your own background story, like most of them, you say you had your father's there, but you had a stepdad who raised you, something like
Mhm.
that. Or what if somebody who came to you and said that, well, he's not really your father, he's not that, and you will not be turned out to be great because it's not ideal. It won't be great because your father's not in the house. It would be better if you had your own biological father in the house, stuff like that. So each one of us, how do you feel if somebody will tell you that your family structure is not the ideal and it's not conducive? We won't see that as a real successful family, whether you go up and whether you in your state now or not. So now,
Quick story time. Let me get quick story. Oh no, go ahead. I give you story time after I'm done.
Yeah, this is a good reference. Growing up, everybody knew I was gay before I knew I was gay. Okay, I'm gonna tell you because I was a whimsical ass little nigga. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say I was feminine,
So
but I was
shots
definitely
is so
whimsical and magical
good.
as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But there was a teacher that we grew up. He was in a
You're
neighborhood high
crazy.
school, and he was the only single teacher, and he lived directly across the street from us. And he had a nice house, you know, and there was always some guy that was always there. You know what I'm saying? He was always there. So I'm like 13, 14. When I was 16, the guy that was living with him died. Okay. And everybody got together in the community and went to his funeral. And come to find out, that was his longtime lover. And they had been living together, had a whole family structure. So the whole time they telling me that you can't be gay, it's not a family this, you're not gonna be able to have this. I'm like, and I had to realize at a young age, y'all been lying to me the whole time. These niggas been across the street, had a happily marriage, you know what I'm saying? And they weren't out. People murmured, you know how adults do. But that's when I figured out that y'all was lying. It is feasible for me to have a husband. It is feasible for me to have a long time relationship, you know? And that's when I figured out that they was lying like a motherfucker. So all those arcs of this isn't orthodox, this isn't that, it's feasible, but you have to create it in your own way, you know? And everybody doesn't have to wave a flag, you know, to be like, this my husband, this my wife, and so on and so forth. So family is so it's what you make it, but at the same time, what they tell us is kind of like a white lie until you discover it for yourself.
Mama,
Quick story time. So I was in the 6th grade, and my 6th grade teacher, it was this white lady. Her name was Miss Kangas. She was a bitch. I couldn't stand her. My mama had to get on her ass a couple times. But it was this one girl that used to always bully people, and she was this little short, itty bitty, little rat looking girl, right? So one time, this bitch used to always mess with me. But child, one time We was outside. We was playing Foursquare because Foursquare was the thing to do. You know, as soon as recess came, you go out there, you play some motherfucking Foursquare. That was the shit, right? We out there playing Foursquare, and we was arguing about something. But she said something like, you know, that was back when you was kids. You like your mama, shit like that. And I said something like, your daddy, and she was like, something like, she said something like, oh, you don't even know your daddy. You ain't even got your daddy. I said, I do have a daddy. That is my daddy. Where's your daddy? She was like, bitch, don't worry about what my daddy is. Da, 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 da. I was like, oh, because you ain't got no daddy. You ain't got no daddy. So me and her started fighting or whatever, right? But
you hit a nerve.
I was angry. And the bitch said something about my daddy, so I had to show her I was with the shits at 6th grade and all. I remember Miss Kangas made me stay after school and all of that shit. That bitch and my mama got mad because she called her, was like, I can't believe you had me to have her stay after school just to call me because this same little girl been bullying her. Yes. Oh, we had a good little old scrap. But anyways, I say that to say this. That little ghetto girl was raised with just her mama in the house. Her mama didn't care about what they did. She was one of them. It was her. I think she had a brother, like 2 sisters and a brother, 2 brothers and a sister. I just remember her little ratchet ass. But she was one of them kids that when the street, you know, when we was younger, when the street light go off or before the street light come on, you get your ass in that house. She was a child that was still outside barefoot, running and playing in the street when late at night. You supposed to have your ass in the house. It's grasshoppers and shit out at night, and you outside with their ass just bad and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's who she was. But I say that to say it was just her mama in the house, and they had no kind of structure over them whatsoever. And then later on, when we got older, I think we ended up getting in high school, and then like we started seeing her daddy, and come to find out, like her daddy was fucked up too. And I don't know how she's doing now in life. That would be interesting to see.
A follow-up story. Update.
That ass. Be like, bitch, you find your daddy? No,
Is you okay,
you ain't got no daddy, bitch. But she made me mad though. But yes, it don't matter how many parents you got up in the house. Because like I said, it was just her siblings, and that one mama. And that mama let them do whatever in the shit they wanted to do. I mean, they was running wild. The kind of kids that would steal Kool-Aid out the convenience store and bring it to school and shit. Them kind of kids, just bad. Cheetos stains all on their fingers and shit. Oh, I'm getting triggered.
Kool-Aid. Look, I'm a thief. I stole Kool-Aid. Want some?
I'm getting triggered and shit. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Tracy, since you had a traditional household, do you have any experience or anybody try to come to your family about your older brother not being related to your father and stuff like that and everything? And did he treat him different, or if your siblings treat him any differently because he wasn't biological with the dad and everything? So
no, again, I didn't realize that my oldest brother wasn't my dad's child until his father passed away. That's when I found out. Because again, I guess if you would have asked my mama too many questions, you probably would have got backhanded. So, you know, there was no question like this strange man coming to pick my brother. There was no question like that. But I think more importantly, it was the fact that we didn't get treated any different. There was nothing about it that seemed any different. There was nothing about it. You look back and be like, oh, that was different. Nothing at all. I think for me, because I was a teen parent, which was very outside of the norm for my family. Mm-hmm. My family like rallied around me. Like my mom stopped working to take care of my son, you know, so I could finish school. You know, my sister took him in. Like we rallied, they all rallied around me because it was just me, which, you know, for them was their way of bridging the gap because I was a teen. Well, one, I was a teen mom, and two, his dad, it wasn't looking good for the picture of that all kind of working out. So I think I had to deal with more of feeling like the oddball because one, I was a teen parent. Two, I was the only person that I knew in my immediate family that wasn't like married.
That's true.
So for me, it was a very different type of feeling because I was like, oh dang. man, and you know, I dealt with that kind of stuff from even like my cousins, my uncles, things like that. Was like, so why don't you just marry him? Like y'all had a baby together, just get married. Like
That is
that's
true,
what you should
because
do. And I was like, there ain't no way in God's green earth that that's about to happen. Um, that's a no. But I would definitely say that, you know, that allowed me to take a step back and see things from a very different perspective that I had never looked at it from before. Because to me, everything was real basic of you just got two parent households. So it was definitely eye opening to see or to feel very differently about a situation that for all that I've known was this one particular way, and that's what I just assumed
Mhm.
everything was. So it was different or eye opening for me to see, mostly because I had to experience it.
Yeah.
So
It's cool.
My mama's on crack
crack
rock.
rock.
Yeah, my mama.
Your mama's
Yeah,
on crack.
my
Mm,
mama.
mm,
Women
that song is so
thinking
ghetto but so historic. That song-
society would rather have a dysfunctional straight couple raising children than a happy functional same-sex couple. And I gotta
That
agree with
is
that
true.
statement because if we go to the idea that many people might have that biological is standard and anything else is less than that, then yes, they was like, you know, the father who created the blood, they the standard and they had to be in the house to raise you and it had to be healthy, but it's still. So I was like, if you go by that, then nothing else matters. No 3 or 4 or 5 household, nothing else matters, and that's that standard. So we're gonna show our article and we're gonna dissect that article a little bit because we'll read some points and we'll have our discussion on that. And yes, the go ahead.
We're gonna be singing that part. I'm gonna be sleeping in the bed like your mom
Yeah,
cracker.
yeah, yeah.
Ooh, that was shit. Boy,
Right,
I
so,
gotta see if I can find that. Your mama's on crack rock.
Crack.
My mama. Yeah. Let me go get my controller.
this
I'm
shit
doing
is
this.
bear with me, y'all. Share the screen. Share this.
Let me go check on my chicken real quick while you do that, Miz. I'll be right back.
Yes, go check on that yard bird.
Hey, go
Go
check
check on that yard bird, bruh.
it. All right. Oh, y'all can read it. If not, I still gonna read it to y'all. All right.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So making a case is the argument from child welfare. Do children fare better when raised by their biological parents? Children are morally entitled to be raised by their biological father and mother whenever impossible. The argument from child welfare presents empirical evidence that this moral entitlement is reflected in the measurable well-being of children. Social science research has demonstrated that children tend to thrive best when raised by their biological parents, and that mothers and fathers therefore each contribute something unique and value to the parenting enterprise. Children raised by their mother and father have a better chance of being prosperous, healthy, and well educated in adulthood. Man woman marriage policies enshrine this arrangement as a social ideal worth pursuing, while same sex marriage undermines this ideal altogether. So, based on that paragraph alone, what do y'all feel of what they saying? And do y'all agree or disagree? I mean, I might as well say our opinions, but based on this paragraph so far, what y'all think about what they saying and your thoughts about it? And then let's start with Tracy
Go ahead.
first.
Yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
okay,
She's scratching her
so
head.
I must say this right, but let me preface it correctly. Let me preface it correctly before anybody comes for me, cause I'm about the shit and I got time today. But anyways, let me
Okay.
preface this
All right.
correctly. When I say if the idea is a biological two parent household would be the most ideal. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that statement
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it logically of saying because like my son, he struggles because his although he has a dad, his biological dad wasn't there. So he struggles with things internally that I would never understand because I was
Mm-hmm.
raised by both of my parents.
Yep.
So he goes to counseling, which I go to I believe this is a therapy loving household around here. Um because he has things that he needs to figure out that I can't understand because I didn't go through that. So
Yeah.
from the aspect of you may be like wondering about where you came from or what your parents are or why did they, and it maybe gives you some internal feelings about yourself personally. Okay, I could kind of understand that from that aspect, but outside of that, this article bullshit. I'm just gonna call it like it is.
Now,
Outside of
I
that,
know.
now that's the only way I could rationally wrap my mind around that statement is if I think like that. Outside of that, nope, I can't. I don't agree.
I like Momo.
I do understand. Yeah, I totally get it morally that yes, each child is entitled to be raised by their biological. I feel like by their biological parents. Period. You know what I mean? And that I consider like if someone is a surrogate and they have a child for someone else, to me, you that's still considered their biological parents. You know what I mean? Whether it's a surrogate child or whatnot. I don't necessarily feel like it matters if it's a man and a woman or two men or two women together. I don't feel like that matters. I feel like, and then again, like I said, I feel like Tracy said, the article is just dumb. It's dumb. I'm sure this was by a straight upper middle class heterosexual white male. Yes, a heterosexual white male who came up with this off of some books that he read on, different minorities and whatnot. But that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. I don't believe it matters. It's
Yeah.
stupid. But yes, I feel like every child is morally obligated. They're entitled to be raised by their biological parents, whomever they may be.
So
But it's
Neil,
dumb.
I believe that these
Yeah.
oop, what happened?
everything is changing, and these dynamic that is being God is the single parent, which is a single mother forever. Okay, but we have lesbian couples, gay couples. We have single fathers now that are trying to raise kids, and they're doing it appropriately. This bullshit right here is dated. It's dated, and it sounds like some one person's opinion, and they're trying to give everyone a blanket statement that doesn't have to do with
Mm-hmm.
everybody's shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is the point? You can tell someone who gave their child up for adoption, this will make me feel bad, but for a woman gave her child up for adoption for a reason. Because she was underage, she couldn't take care of it, she couldn't financially support it.
Absolutely.
She was in a bad situation for herself. So now you're trying to passively aggressively blame her for, what I'm saying? Your child should be raised with you, but I couldn't raise that child to their full potential. I had to give them up to give them a appropriate home. You see what I'm saying? So these dynamics need to change, and this blanketed bad statement is trash.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
agree.
I do think? I do
Hmm.
think medically everybody should know where they came from because there are things
Oh
medically
yeah.
that you
Yeah,
may
yeah.
have to deal with that if you
Yeah.
don't know where you come from, you won't really have the good context to
You
understand
won't,
that.
yeah, you
Which
won't. You
let
won't.
let me say this, although I do not
It's
talk
a lot.
to, claim, my child don't talk to or claim the man who biologically gave him some of his genetics. My son is actually a part of his father's side of the family. He knows where he came from. His grandfather was able to help him, like medical records and all that kind of stuff. So he knows that information. So I do think, regardless of how your child was conceived, what happened medically, everybody should know where they came from, just so
Right.
your background, because something may be in there,
Right, you know
that you
what?
need to know about.
For real, like if he was crazy or something.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You may have that trait. You may have that trait. Let me tell you one thing. My adopted mom, her side works,
right.
she does genealogy. She studied her own genealogy like all the way back to the 1800s, and she instilled that in me. So when I came old enough, I had to applaud my birth grandma. Like, who's my dad? My dad's real dad. And my grandma's she's the one of them 1932 old finicky motherfucker. She ain't telling you nothing and she cracking you. But I had to pull out of her. I had to like literally pull teeth from her. I want to find these people, 'cause I need a reference for myself. By the time I was done, I was in South Carolina on the Powell Islands. I met all my dad's cousins. I had to find out that my family owns an island out there.
Oh,
Oh, so
wow.
in South Carolina, but I had to dig that up for myself. And when I started meeting these people and my cousins, I started seeing my smile. I started seeing my alternative ways, like wild, like trees and plants and shit. My family grew up in the South. You know what I'm saying? Planting and chasing chickens and fighting with alligators.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm fearless in that way. But growing up in the inner city, I wouldn't know that because I didn't have any reference to that. But as an adult, I had to go dig up those things and open up those wounds. And what I found was glorious. It wasn't painful. You know what I'm saying? I was
Mm-hmm.
actually there with my father when my father was growing up in San Diego. His mom, my grandma, would take them to South Carolina like regularly. That was the family trip. He was fishing, he was doing all those things. But I wouldn't have known that because meeting my father as an adult, he was just a fucking thug running the streets, you know. But he did
Yeah.
have a beautiful childhood, and with me digging that up and learning my genealogical background, I found a bunch of things that really gave me an eye perspective of I'm not so much of an oddball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, in my opinion, I say like that. Yeah, I didn't like that intro paragraph because I said my story is like single parent. I know why my mother didn't want my father to be around me like that because a true story that my mother said that he lied and told her fakeness and everything and kind of took advantage of her and got 2 kids and she said that she loved us and everything and everything. So it was like something that she was always battling from because it's like he tricked and fooled me and everything. She loved her 2 sons, me and my older brother, but she was like, if it was a different story, maybe I would not be here talking to y'all right now because if she had that. So to even go that. So I wouldn't feel greatly, and I'm glad that he probably was in my life and so like that. And she raised me to be the person I am, so like that. So for them to say that, yes, medically, yeah, you should know your background story of the
Mm-hmm.
biological. But at the same time, I don't think that's like kind of fair to say that that ideal situation, because I was not in that ideal typical household,
Yep.
I will fare less than a person who was raised in a 2 parent household and I'm not that successful or well off and everything from that. So and the fact that it's that only they say it's the it has to be the father biologically it would be better. I don't like that idea and everything. So it's crazy. Just like how do you feel about when people get adopted? And I know some people just want to feel like they want to find their biological roots and everything. It's because of sense of self, things like that. But doesn't mean they less love for the person who's not biological theirs because they don't have that biological person raising them. All
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. So I just feel like to just diminish all the other styles, because Sunil said that family dynamics are changing. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
that stuff like it was before in the past, where it was mother and husband and the child and children, but more single parents household now. It's more adopting, the same sex parenting, all that stuff like that, and it doesn't make them fit less worse than the person if they was raised in a 2 family household, all that stuff.
Oh
So,
man, this is one
uh-huh.
dynamic we look over. One dynamic we look over is the older sibling taking on the parental role. I
Yes.
know
Okay,
a
yeah.
lot of siblings that have took in all their
I
brothers
forgot to mention that. Yes, you took care of
and
sibling. Yeah.
were wayward. They wasn't doing their job. So they became parents without being a parent. You know what I'm saying? And then as they raise up their brother and sisters, they don't look at them as that my older sister, my older brother. They look at them as that's my mom or my dad because they raised them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So
Dakota mentioned that she raised some of her siblings when she was like 17 because her parents was not around. So I said I appreciate Dakota for doing that because
Yeah.
they love. So, yep. All right, let's dissect this next paragraph. Okay. All right. So the advantages of biological parenting. Research has thoroughly demonstrated that children raised by their biological parents in a stable, intact home usually have distinct advantages when compared with children raised by adopted parents, step parents, divorced parents, cohabiting parents, or other parental arrangements. This conclusion has been consistently replicated by social scientists for the past 3 to 4 decades. A non-partisan research foundation called Child Friends.
that's not me echoing.
Uh,
I
yeah,
don't hear an echo.
I hear it. There's my end. Hold up. I have it. Recently, published their survey of the research, which were that it is not simply the presence of two parents, but the presence of two biological parents that seem to support children development. That is, children do not need any two parents; they need their parents. They continue. Research clearly demonstrates that family structure matters for children, and family structure that helps children the most is a family headed by two biological parents in a low conflict marriage. Children in single parent family, children born to unmarried mothers, and children in step families or cohabiting relationships face higher risk of poor outcomes than do children in intact families and headed by two biological parents. We're gonna cut right there. Right there. We're gonna cut. Oh, I do hear an echo. What's going on?
What if both the parents fucked up? They're supposed to stay in the house?
I was just gonna say that, like the whole statement right there, that children don't need to, not the presence of any parents, but the presence of two biological parents. That don't make a difference whatsoever. Because again, perfect example, my stepdaddy stepped in where my biological father didn't, and he raised me and all three of my sisters, and we turned out great. So, and then not only that, just you see all the time, hell, there's different reaction channels that make videos about, you know, different mommies that aren't good parents and stuff like that. So you see all the time, it don't matter if you have, if it's the biological mama and it's the biological daddy, it don't matter. They could be just as jacked up, if not more. Just like Tacola said, nowadays you got grandparents and grandmamas and granddaddies who are raising kids because the mama and the daddy couldn't. I know that. I know that. So, child, now I know some kids that don't need to be with their real mamas and daddies. No. They don't.
This
article is so one-sided. It's so blind.
No.
Okay, it's not weighing in everything that can happen with making a child. What if somebody had a one-night stand with somebody you don't even know, and you got pregnant, and that woman chooses to keep that child? You telling me she supposed to go meet this stranger and raise this child with this stranger who was strange and she was laying with him? So let's start from one, and you don't even know what this man is really about. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to try to force yourself into a family structure because this nigga that wrote the article said you need to be with him?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Absolutely. Crazy. Yeah, in 1920. Yeah, that's exactly how it was in 1920. That's what they would do back then.
That's for the Danae Jacksons of the world.
Yes. Okay, so let me say this. I think this goes without saying, but I think this is the same thing from the beginning part of the article. The only thing about that I could try and rationally make sense of is the child's personal growth and development and not wondering where they came from or, you know, why my parent didn't want me or something like that. That's the only way I can use my rational logic mind to be like, okay, this kind of makes sense. Outside of that one scenario, this is all bullshit.
It's crap.
Outside of this one scenario, I have one good scenario that this applies to. The one.
And we are a plethora of people. We are a vast different attitudes, communication skills, and everything.
Yeah, so,
what race is this person?
Look, I'm again not going to tell the person who wrote this article that they're wrong. I'm just simply going to tell y'all that y'all are very siloed and you're only looking at one specific thing that matters. And that's all that matters.
You're just looking at the world like this with one eye. That's all I see.
You looking at one grain of sand in an hourglass. Like one? Just
well,
one,
you know
all that matters? Just one?
You know that the demographic of the people that they're doing this research on are the lower middle class minority neighborhoods and families that they're doing this research on. And again, this article was written by Bob, and Bob makes $80,000 a year, and he eats his mayonnaise and tomato sandwiches every day, and his wife and 2.2 kids and a dog. They all eat mayonnaise sandwiches every day. That's who made this article,
With
not
a Subaru.
somebody who's.
He got a Subaru.
Yeah, he drives a Subaru, and he hands her at 10 and 2 at all times. And he wears his mask even in his car with his windows rolled up. That's
Yeah.
mom. That's who wrote this damn article.
And chat, if y'all have your opinions, y'all can feel free, and I will comment. We will comment your opinions as well.
This article is so culturally deaf. It's deaf. It's very deaf to the times, to 2021. I would expect this shit to come out in 1998.
Okay, come on now. Yes.
1998, 98, 98. I was thinking about 70s.
Because you weren't even that developed in the family, you know what I'm saying, structure. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was still in the closet. It couldn't come out.
I'll be right back, y'all.
Single mothers were still being shamed. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say 1998. Come on now.
And you know what's funny? What points out to me when they said that children should not be raised like it's better not just two parents, it's their parents. So they emphasizing that they're like, okay. And so if it's just me and somebody else raising a child and whether biological child, it's like, okay, that's not taking care, that's not consideration. But it has to be the person who created the child, raising the child. That's what they considered.
No.
And so I said, that's like what they when they emphasize that. I said, okay, now y'all doing too much.
There's a young lady that I follow on Facebook. I believe her name is Raising Culture. And she adopted several children, but her last adoptee was a white child.
Mm-hmm.
She's African American. But she tells a lot of stories, like when she be in the grocery store, she's been stopped by people saying, "Is that your child? Is that your child?" She had white women follow her in the into the bathroom, and she's going to change her child, calling the police, trying to keep her in there. Like, this is not your child. Where'd you get that white child? Where'd you get that white child? And she's like, "Bitch, I adopted it. This is my baby." And you see her baby, the white boy. He loves his mama. He don't care what color she is. He loves his mama. But
Mm-hmm.
those people that accost her, they give her so much grief because she's a black woman raising a white child. But they don't give grief to white people that are raising black children that they adopt. They don't give them that grief. They call them saviors, and you're doing what Jesus loves. But this is a black woman raising a white child, so she gets a black grief. Those are the dynamics you have to look at family with things changing. She is a black woman. I think she has an Indian daughter too, whatever. So it's just like when you go to adopt or be a foster parent, you don't get to say that I want a blue-eyed 6-year-old. That you get what you get, and if you have that parental heart, you're going to take on that child regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. All right, so that's like the next little thing. All right, so now they was on the mindset of the ideal pair of a man and woman. Now, what about the transitioning into same-sex marriages and the biological idea? So this thing, let me read it to y'all. All right, there is not a lot of quality research that directly compares the outcome of children raised by same-sex parents with other children. We will discuss this in depth of the objection for research coming soon. However, on the fact of it, same-sex couples cannot be the natural biological parents of their children. Same-sex parents must always be either a blended family or an adoptive family or produced using assertive productive technology such as in vitro fertilization or surrogate motherhood. All of these ultimately deprive children of their biological father or mother or both, and thus we will not expect these arrangements to be equivalent to the biological ideal. All right, next paragraph. In the argument from parental idea, we argue that because of intrinsic connection between marriage and parenting, marriage policies designate that law will treat as the ideal parent unit. Therefore, formalizing same-sex marriage treats same-sex couples as equally ideal parent unit in the eyes of the law. Because of the same couples cannot be naturally biological parents of their children, formalizing same-sex marriages will signal that biological parenthood is no longer the ideal. It signals that children do not need their biological mother or father, and that motherhood and fatherhood are each dispensable. And we're gonna stop there, and then we'll move on from that. So I don't know how y'all feel. Like sometimes I know when in college, when I did a research about, I did a paper of gay parenting, parental rights. Gay individuals have parental rights, and I feel like they should have it because a lot of people saying that, oh, gay parents should not have children because they're gonna make them gay, they're gonna not be loved, and this, that, and they're gonna become up worse, and they're gonna be not healthy individuals, and sometimes it's not even that thing. So I read a lot of books that had that same mindset that no, it's not gonna be well, it's not, they not gonna work well, they're gonna do something dangerous, they can't teach the child any different and stuff like that. It's not there. And the aspect of all sisters, they're not biological, just like what I was mentioning of James Conwell, y'all know somebody on Spiller Boy TV. He mentioned that how he has 2 adoptive kids and was a sister kids like that, and his cousin told him, said, well, those kids are not yours. He said, well, no, I got papers. And he said, no, because you didn't make them. So the idea of, because he didn't make the kids directly, or any other person, not just same sex, any person, just gonna make them directly, divorce them being a parent. So what's your idea about these 2 paragraphs, and then the aspect of, do you agree that same-sex parents should be parents or not? You mute. You mute it.
No, I was gonna say, Tracy, go ahead. You go, and I can wait.
So, I can again say this article is bull. Just throwing that out there. But with that also being said, that is no different than the first point that I made, that if you're in a same-sex marriage, if you're biologically, if you're adopted, if you have one of your parents and not both, from the child's aspect, I guess they'll still wonder where they came from, who's my mom, because regardless of how we feel or what we want, it takes both of us to make you need a sperm and an egg, and you only get it from each person. Like, it has to be a mom and a dad, just solely because that's how you make babies. Like, even if you do in vitro, you still take someone's egg, or someone's sperm. Regardless, if I wanted to go today and get in vitro, I could I could just pick a random number out of the thing, like, bam, number 7432, that's your daddy. Like,
don't do that. That might be the doctor.
Regardless of what it is, you still need somebody, like that kind of thing. So I can understand a kid still wondering where I came from, who my parents are, like blah, 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 blah. Like, those things will never go away regardless of what it is, with the exception of if you have a mom and a dad. Again, but outside of that, that's the only rational way I can try and make sense of any of this. Because to be completely honest with you, I have a niece. Again, she is 25. She got 5 kids. Well, I'm sorry, she has 6 kids now. She has 6 baby daddies. And every time she get a new man, she got a new man playing daddy to all the kids that come before them. And they rotate out every year or 2 years, and they just keep it pushing, keep it moving. She have stair step kids. She do what she want. And when I tell you, she is probably the epitome of why I feel like there should be medical castration, because she should not continue to have babies. But technically, she is a mother and a father, and the kids are being raised with their mama and their daddy biologically for whatever given amount of time it is. But they have it, and they are toxic, terrible relationships with toxic, terrible people who should not be allowed to procreate. So, I mean, technically, just because you got 2 people doesn't mean that they should be able to procreate and have babies. At some point, something needs to be done. So it has nothing to do with their sex, their race. Again, taking out the exclusion that if you, as a white woman, decide you want a rainbow coalition of all different shades of black babies, I don't agree with that one. That ain't cool. Outside of that, to me, I don't see this as being a healthy, logical thing, because I've seen same-sex parents who are fabulous. Who, shoot, I was like, if I didn't love my mama and my daddy, y'all could have adopted me. Just
there are a lot of Caucasian people that do adopt kids from around the world, like you said, the Rainbow Coalition, Tracy, because they want to be the savior, the white savior. I adopt these kids from Sri Lanka. This one's from Nairobi. This one's from India, because it's the spect of them being a white savior. And it's not the whole spect of I want to be a parent. I want to be loving. because a lot of those situations, those kids end up being abused. Still, they're just like a trophy wife or a trophy husband. It's a trophy child because I have this child from this indigenous place. So at the same time, that spec right there, it's faulty as fuck. They don't want to be parents. They want to be, I'm a loving person. That's the air quote. Not that I'm a good parent, but I saved this black child from Nigeria, and his dad was running rubber across. There's different specs to it. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to anybody out there that's Nigerian.
Momo.
That's
It's a tough titty. It's a tough titty.
yeah. I think that I gotta tread lightly because I don't want to say the wrong thing. But I'm just go back to originally what I was saying. I don't think that I think it's stupid that people weigh so much on if it's a man or a woman, or if it's a man and a woman together, if they're qualified enough to raise kids. And I hate reading articles like this because it's always from somebody who does not live that life, who does not know that life, who's very one-sided, and that have taken research from such a small minority group of people, and you come to this conclusion. And this is the stupid shit that you're putting out there for people to read. Like, I hate articles like this because it's so.
I think Derek wrote this article.
So somebody, Derek probably did write this article. He wrote it for Danae. But you know what? Thinking of this story, when it came to, did you guys hear about the couple in Ohio that sued the sperm bank because there was a white lesbian couple? They sued the doctor because he impregnated them with a mixed race. He impregnated her with a black baby, and he did that on purpose. And so she's ended up like it's. Let me see. I actually have it up on my screen.
That gives credence to what I was just saying. They want to collect these kids to be like, I'm a savior.
Yes, and she said they're actually like the doctor's actually facing like numerous criminal charges and stuff like that. But again, like Sir Neil was saying, I mean. Not of them want black babies, but they don't want nothing to do with black people or, shit like that. So it don't matter if it's the biological parents raising the kids or not, because again, you can have your mama and your daddy in there and you still batshit crazy. That's what I say.
Yeah. And they helping them be batshit crazy because the parents is batshit crazy. So they don't raise their child to be batshit crazy. You just made another fucked up adult in the world.
Oh, there we go. John Wayne Gacy, serial killer, grew up with two parents, a mom and a dad, all white.
Come on now.
Guess what? Killed all of y'all.
Killed all you niggas.
Oh,
took all y'all asses out.
Come through with the receipts, Tracy. Come
there's
through with the
bad
receipts.
seeds everywhere. You can't
Come through with the
just
receipts.
say this one thing is terrible.
Y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all, like, and they kill all the
Remember
people
those two
like
brothers?
this.
Remember those two brothers that killed their parents for the inheritance? They gave
Menendez
those
brothers.
the best life. Yeah, they had the best life.
Menendez
They
brothers,
killed
yep.
their parents for the money.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mizzle said badass.
we just debunked his whole article. He or she wrote
yeah,
that. We
I'm saying.
debunked the whole shit.
It's crazy. It's amazing how not even, and people still today just feels that same-sex people cannot be parents because they go erode the population. Is there gonna be things? It's just that. It's a lot and all that. So it was like, why they
going to happen?
Yeah, and then because they not biological, they is going to be something different. I was like, why people still feel that? So when that cousin told the guy, like, oh, it's not yours because you didn't create them. Why is the emphasis of creation and biological is that mindset that if you don't have that, you're not a child of the person or you're not a parent of that child because you're not related by blood. So I was like, why is that emphasis of that? And people still
I have some homegirls who are together that are raising a little boy, and when I say the little boy is bad and roguish and mannish as hell, and I don't know if it's just because there's two women in him, but he is roguish. He's bad as hell, and he's doing a good job with it. But that little nigga, he's still bad though. He ain't turning gay. Like just because he got two mamas in the house, like hell, 50 Cent had two mamas. He seen his mama kissing a female, and you see what it did to him. 50 Cent fucked up in the head.
He fucked up.
No. He fucked up.
He fucked up. If I was had a chance to adopt or become a foster parent in the future, I would like to be. I would like to have a son. I would like to endow him with everything in the world so he can grow up to be a strong black, whatever the color he is, a strong man.
You can have mine.
You want
them? I'm giving them away. I just seen his college tuition bill. You want one? You can have.
You love your baby.
Oh no, I need one I can put into college. Can I get one about 6, 7, 8, so I can imprint on him so he can be a little Nathaniel.
The way them stimulus checks was dropping, I was like, why did I not have more kids?
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
You
could be a thousandaire in a month.
I said, goddamn, here I go talking about one and done. Shit, I could have had 2 more, you motherfucker, cashed in.
I didn't know Corona was coming. Y'all should have told a bitch.
Y'all should have told me. I got ready.
Shoot, if I didn't know, you could have got pregnant last year, had the baby this year, and cashed in.
Exactly. As long as the motherfucker came before 2019, you was good.
I was good. Okay.
This freaking crazy. I love it. I think this article is trash, and we've come to a consensus that this is trash. Yeah. I think it was also irresponsible for this journalist. I don't know if this is a blogger.
Yes. Yes.
They should have had more of a spectrum of a voice in it, because again, it comes off one-sided and it comes off dated. He needs to go back to 1915. They had oil lamps and coal fucking stoves when they were spreading viruses before the pandemic. He needs to go back over there because it makes no sense.
No, I agree with the article. They should have wrote the article. They should have just prefaced it correctly to say, these are things that could happen where your children would need therapy. That's all. I mean, just simply say what it is. These are reasons why you should, invest in therapy. If these are things because your kids could emotionally be dealing with stuff, emotionally, you could be wondering who I am or where I came from or why this person was or was not there. Maybe that would be one of the good reasons.
You know what we need to do is a therapy talk, because I know it's like me and Tracy, we go to therapy. We need a therapy talk so we can get y'all with some tools and some gems that a therapist be telling me.
How to handle. I get what the article is trying to say. I was reading that little last part when you had it up on the screen when they were saying that basically a biological family is ideal and that's what everyone should strive for. That's what everyone should strive for. You know what I mean? I get that, but everybody should strive for having a healthy environment to raise kids in, period. It don't matter who the hell it's with, damn it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, most of these mamas and these damn daddies is crazy too. These daddies, they don't need to be around their goddamn kids, some of them, but as long as the child is in a healthy environment, that's all that matters. And Bob was wrong for that goddamn article. He wrong for that. He needs to go back to eat his mayonnaise and tomato sandwiches and leave these types of shits alone.
Salad and scrambled egg.
So then with that said, so now, present days now, what do you talk? How do you have a conversation? Because I know we all have people who have the same mindset or somewhere about children and not being yours or like that. So for example, what if you decide you want to adopt and everything, and somebody in your family say, "Oh well, that's no, you didn't create that."
I really don't care.
For that,
I don't care. We don't have to come around you.
Exactly.
That child, we have more love than that singular person in this world. That person can keep that mindset, that attitude. And thank you for letting me know about that attitude, because I wouldn't want my child to come around.
Yeah.
That's the motherfucker that will whisper in your child's ear when you're not around. That's not your dad. Your dad.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I thank you for letting me know. Put me up on game how hateful you are, so I can know where to put you. Because if that situation was to happen and I already know how I'm going to be as a parent. I'm going to be very loving, but I'm going to be protective. So if that was to happen, my child was to be like, Auntie so and so whisper to me, "You ain't my real dad," and she said you gay. I'm pulling over. I'm calling my sisters. I'm picking up my son, and we going over there. We going and we gonna have a conversation. But I need my sister there because I can't hit a woman.
Yeah.
But my sister will hit
Okay.
you.
You call your
And I'm
auntie
gonna cuss you out.
Momo.
Yeah, I'm gonna cuss you to plumb out. As soon as you get, my sister's gonna come in, sideline tag team, and take your ass out because you're not gonna be disrespecting my child vicariously trying to disrespect me by trying to teach my child how to disrespect me. I know how triangles work, and I know how people like to manipulate shit, and that's when that parental shit will step in. And I'm nuh-uh, mm-mm. That. There's forms of abuse, physical and mental abuse, and I would
Yeah.
consider that mental abuse.
Mm-hmm.
If that was my adopted child, my foster child, and he or she looked at me as their parent, give me the allotted time to let them know that I'm not your real parent. So we can
Mm-hmm.
transition into, we're gonna find your real mom, your real dad. How do you feel about that? You know what I'm saying? We're trying to prevent motherfuckers that need therapy. Right, Tracy?
Okay.
We're trying to
Yes.
prevent the motherfuckers that need therapy. So
Absolutely.
we are their first therapist as parents, you know? And again, the
Mm-hmm.
person that wrote this article probably don't believe in therapy. He probably be
Yeah.
like, go talk to your daddy. He probably the motherfucker be like, don't cry, you a boy. Boys ain't supposed to cry. You know,
Mm-hmm.
girls aren't supposed to do that. Girls don't wear pants. He sound like
Yeah.
that type of fuck.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's dangerous. Fucking with my child, and I ain't even got one and I'm mad.
Ready to go fight somebody right now.
Yeah,
Shit.
For real. I'm dead serious. And that goes with my niece and nephews too. My niece and nephews, like my
Yeah.
sister, when they're with me, I'm their parent. You know what I'm saying? When I
Mm-hmm.
go to visit her in San Diego, she goes, I'm their parent, and they have to listen to abide what I say. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'll fight anybody over the babies.
Yep. I'll fight a baby over my babies too.
No, I'll tell my baby, you better fight that motherfucker. Punch him in
No,
the mouth. You
I'm gonna fight that child. I will square up with a child. Swear to God, I will behind mine. I'm
I
that
tell
kind of mama.
kids and then tell them and call your mama. Call
Call
your
you
mama.
okay? Because after I whoop your ass, I'm gonna whoop your mama
say, oh,
ass.
yeah. Call
Yep.
him. You want to
yeah.
use my phone?
I'm that kind of mama.
I agree. One moment, I'm gonna check the chicken, guys. Go ahead.
All right.
All
As
right.
a stepmother, I think I would be upset if somebody in my family, because my stepdaughter is 18. She's been in my life since she was 5 years old. So if nobody in my family has ever, I mean, I love my family, but nobody in my family has ever said anything sideways at all about my step baby. And even if they would, I would correct that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I just like I took her daddy on, I took her on too. You know what I mean? That's my girl right there. We cool, we here with it. So yeah, I think I have a problem if somebody was to say something like even if whatever circumstance, like that ain't your mama, that. Oh, for real? Well, let me show you what I can do then, goddamn it. Like I said, I'm that kind of mama. I fight behind my babies. I do, and I'm not ashamed of it. I
Mhm.
just gotta pray on me. That's what it is.
Um, for me, that reason right there is why I didn't have a wedding. We took the wedding budget and honeymooned because I refuse
We
to
did
feed people.
too.
I refuse to feed people that act like they can't get with the program. So
We did
we're just
too.
not gonna do that. I
As I was
refuse.
We did
Not
too.
gonna do that.
Yep.
Yeah. So um, because when my husband at the time came into the situation, he was very strong on this. If we're doing this, we're all doing this. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
all of us, or we're just gonna keep dating, and I'm fine with that too. He was like, or it's going to be a complete whole thing. We had the conversation like, okay, so what do you think about spanking? Oh, do you believe in spanking? Great, because I believe in spanking too. That also means that you better not act crazy if I pop you.
Okay.
So it was a very clear conversation. It was like, okay, well, we got on the same page. So then when we were like going to get married, and some of his family was like, oh, that's not your kid. Are you going to have your own children? Oh, what about this? He was like, okay, well, we could check you off the list, you off the list. And I was like, wait, what? Hold on. he was like, I'm not rocking with people who don't agree with what I'm doing. Like either you're completely on board or you're not on board at all. And then by the time we went through the list, it was like I can't invite like my sister, but not invite my brother, but I can invite your wife, but not you. It was like it was coming down to
Yeah,
things
right.
like that. When we was like, oh, okay, the husband got the problem, but the wife is good, so you can be invited, but you ain't. And if you bring a plus one, we might need to fight. So it was like at that point, it was just not worth it, and we was like, okay, you know what, just forget it. I ain't got time. It made more sense to do that. So I am a firm believer on you do what's best for you, your family, your kids, your unit, and whatever decisions it is that y'all make for that and what y'all want, then y'all do that. But don't let no outside person come telling you what you know about your family. Cause
Yeah.
I have blood family who I can't stand like at all. And I have people who have come into my life over the years who couldn't be who are blood relatives if you ask me, because that is how much I care about these people. There is no difference with how people feel about kids. So you create the family that you want in the dynamics that you want, and as long as they love you the way you love them, rock out and make that happen. And anybody who don't like it, don't agree, then kick their butts out. Life is too short to be
Amen.
dealing with them and their
Yeah.
foolishness. Can't stand folks.
Well, so I have one other question, and then I'll introduce the topic next time, and then I know people gotta get go to bed, stuff like that, work tomorrow. But so with all being said, would you think that people find that biological thing? Where you think they came from? Is it a biblical sense? Is it a religious sense? Like why people feel like that has to tie to the connection to someone? It has to be biological. Where you think that derives from? Everything, and why people still to this day still hold on to that idea and not get with the program that things was changing.
I feel like you remember that book that back in the 50s, the book for the housewife on how to be a housewife, how you're supposed to get up and cook breakfast every morning, and how you're supposed to keep yourself up nice and kept up, and how you're supposed to cook dinner and have dinner ready by the time your husband is home, and how you're supposed to have the house clean, stuff like that. I feel like this article was written with those that sort of times and thinking in mind, and that sort of has stuck and it has been that way throughout the years. Again, like Sir Neil was saying, I don't know when this article was dated, but it is clearly it is outdated a whole lot, a couple of generations it is outdated. But and it all comes again from the white heterosexual upper class male that already feels as if they rule the world and they make the rules, and this is the idea and this is the standard that we're supposed to go by. Yes, like this is the way that it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? That's where I feel that is. I feel like it's already been ingrained over time, and so it's just being passed down from one wealthy heterosexual white generation to the next, to the next, to the next, when really that shit is not realistic. It's not ideal. And honestly, a lot of people that believe that, 50, maybe 9 times out of 10, they're secretly gay anyway, or they're secretly in the closet. And so they're trying to push this agenda off on you to sort of match their own. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to do that because I honestly feel like, and again, don't nobody come for me, but I feel like people that bash gay people the worst, like a lot of, and again, my black men, I love you. Straight black men, I love you. Oh, I love you. I love you. But when you get so furious and fighting mad when you see two men together, to me, that just sends off something in my mind, because everybody, they hate something that could be in them, but that's a part of them. You know what I mean? I'm kind of getting way off subject with it, but
No, Auntie Mama,
y'all know what I'm
that
getting.
is true. Gay people do the same thing. My husband, we went to GameStop today, right? We all, because y'all know I'm a gamer.
Hmm.
My husband goes to GameStop and there's this Latino gay boy there, and my husband said every time he goes in there, he's mean to him. The guy is mean to him because I'm assuming he's thinking Brian is a cis black man, straight black man or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we're in there and I'm conducting myself, we want to exchange this, exchange that, and we talk to him. I was like, well, I think it's in my husband's number. And I look behind him, and who comes behind me? Brian. And the guy's face was like, and he turned all sweet and kind or whatever. And as soon as we went out there, Brian was like, he's always mean to me. Why is he mean? Because he thought you were straight. Gay niggas do the same shit. He was so rude and crass to my husband. Once I was like, this is my partner, my husband, he changed his whole tune. He wanted to be nice now. He wanted to give us coupons and come back and find us for this and that. Gay people do the same shit straight people do.
That, you know what I don't understand? This could be a conversation for another day. Y'all have to educate me. Why is there so much division within the gay community?
No.
Because
I
hurt
don't.
people hurt people. A lot of gay
You know,
people.
we gotta, y'all, we gotta say that needs to be another conversation for another day,
Miz,
because
that's the
the
next
same
one.
with, yeah, same with black women. There's a lot of division between black women. Like, we gotta say this conversation for another day, Mizzle.
Yes. Tracy, your thoughts? Why people was that derived from? Why people hold so much about the biological
Tracy's
aspect?
thinking. She's thinking. Look at her.
So
Look at the kids going.
I'm trying to go back in my in my biblical Rolodex and trying to think if I
Come
could
on now,
find
girl. Come on
that.
now.
And
Like a biblical
I'm not
Rolodex.
pulling that up. I'm not pulling that up. It could be there, but it's not coming to my forefront very quickly. But
It's funny.
but I do feel that some of it definitely stems from people having outside children and wanting to keep your outside child a secret, which I think
Mm.
some of it definitely comes from that on why, oh, your biological like thing is being pushed so hard because back in the day Papa was a rolling stone and it was like ooh, ooh, boom, 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 and you didn't know who your siblings was until your daddy passed away, and then all of them start coming up out the woodworks. It's like ooh, things like that. So I do think some of it is not necessarily today, but how it used to be where your parent could have a whole family on a different side of town. It could be them and then they family over here, and keeping those things siloed and separate and secretive. And oh no, that's not mine. My family is here. This is me and my biological kids, and trying to stray away from, oh, I done stepped out. This is actually my side family kind of deal. So I wonder if it more so has to do, or if that kind of thought pattern or way of thinking really kind of has a lot to do with that, where it wasn't as widely accepted. And also back in the day, it also used to be, it wasn't very widely accepted to accept a woman who already had children. That wasn't
Right,
a
Mhm.
thing. It also used
right.
to be, you're going to get with somebody who don't have kids. You could have 10 kids, but she couldn't have
Mhm.
none. So I do
Yep.
think because back then things were so dated and different, that just the way their mindsets was and the way they looked at things was very different. But also, back then you were responsible for taking care of your kids a lot differently, a lot more than you are
Right.
nowadays. Because I work for a payroll company, I do child supports all day. Shoot, I see
Woo.
this joker, he had a $7 child support. I was like, the devil is
$7.
a lie. How you got a $7 seven
What you
dollars
buying at Happy
every
Meal?
2 weeks? He give this lady $14 a month. I was like, oh, you lying.
That is
But
so
it was,
disrespectful to the
I
child.
listen,
As a
I
man, I
get
can
mad.
only care if the court told me to do that, I would not feel responsible as an individual. I want to be $14. Just let
Child,
me
you
get
can't even.
visitation. No, I spend more than $40 in a day for that
Look at that.
child.
I spent more than
Okay.
$14 coming to court all this time to get my child support order. You,
That-
what the heck? You got to be kidding me. But I think it has a lot to do with those things, like past mindsets, not necessarily biblical. Because I'm trying to think. Now there was a lot of cheat. Nope. And there was accepting of. Well, no, because there
Nope.
was the one. No, there was the one where they didn't accept the child, and the child was. No. So I can think of one, and I can't think of the little boy name, but they definitely didn't want to accept the little bastard child is what they called the baby, and then when the daddy died, everything went to the bastard child. So it probably had something to do with that.
I know what you're talking.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Yeah, I know what you're talking
but it
about.
probably had something to do with that too. That stigma of you leaving everything to the illegitimate child, and now everybody
Yeah.
mad.
Tacola made a real good point. Tacola made a perfect point. What do you think they're talking about? People with color, meaning you stay with your own race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all coming in and talking, get y'all pinpoint, because I was like, it's one of the burning questions. So the next topic will be, and we could all start thinking about that when we come on again, is how come people equate entertainers with all spectrum, entertainers, YouTube, celebrities, as role models? And why do they feel like they is the stepping stone for people, and people always think they is the person as someone that children look up to, and they say you teach it. It's like people still they feel like, so does entertainment equal role model, and why people always equate those two together? Like once you become an entertainer, you automatically role model. So I want to come like, what's your entertainer? What's your definition of a role model? And why do people equate those two simultaneously? And once you step into that realm, or people automatically make you a role model, and then you make decisions and people automatically go bash you. Oh, my child this, my child that. So we're gonna have that, because that's another burning question that I always have in my mind. It's like why people put people with pedestals, and when they do something, they say, "Oh well, you're not a role model." I said they never said they were, and they just only entertain you.
Never signed up to be.
So that's what we're going to talk about next time. Why people cannot separate those two. It's like the entertainer is entertainer. They're not role models. And if they want to be role models, they could. But why people automatically connects role model to entertainers. So we're going to talk about that next time.
I like that.
Yeah. So like that. Because I know y'all read Twitter and social media, people still go off the back by these people and say, no, like we're gonna give examples just like that. Once again, it's gonna be a general topic. It's not to talk about any specific entertainer. It's just like why people automatically equate that to role model, and that's that, yeah. But thank y'all so much. So
I enjoyed this.
I love it. There's something different from me doing reviews and stuff. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Sir Neil, and Ultimate for coming in today for the last minute. I know I told y'all just today.
Oh, sure. I enjoyed it.
It's like, thank you, Tracy. Always.
Sorry.
I chat. And yes, Sequoia, Baby Sis, Black Diamond, Renee, Sunshine, Cola. Thanks y'all all for joining my chat. I know we
Baby Sis, Black Diamond.
I love you guys.
We're all big happy family here, y'all. Yes, Joyce. Thank you again. We'll see y'all next week. I mean, I know tomorrow we want to do our parlay for the versus
Sunday. Yes.
Join with us, and we may be around like that. I know probably with family, but I probably will still join us live.
I'm gonna be there regardless. So Sunday, y'all, we been get drunk, listen to some Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yes,
right?
we is. Some Isley.
Okay, I love you guys. I'm gonna cut out. Gotta go and eat my chicken. Bye, guys. Thank you, Miz. I appreciate it.
Thank you, baby bro, for inviting me.
Bye, Mama.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes. Yeah. This Sunday, yeah, probably, but I'll probably be back home or so like that. If not, I'll be in my phone. We're gonna join the party.
Yes, join the party. It's going down.
I think I'm gonna do a game night.
Ooh, I was thinking that I wanted to do either like Black Card Revoked, because the other game I have, Passport to the Hood, that's one that you got to play in person with folks. But I've never played Black Card Revoked, but I want to play that. You say what?
We can play Bad Choices.
Ooh, I love making bad choices. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
We can
So,
do
like
a game night. This
because,
might be fun.
on my social media corner, it's not always going to be about social topic. We're going to talk about pop-ins, chat, and it's something like that. So some weeks will just be pop-in. We can talk about anything. And it's still a social
Cool.
we can talk about anything. So after next week, then maybe in the following week, we'll just do a pop-in chat on 8 o'clock. And that's just cheat, and let's just kiki and talk about
Kiki, yes. Talk about everything going on. I love it.
Yep. All right. So I know we got to get ready to go to bed, y'all. Work tomorrow. I know. I got to work tomorrow. All right.
Oh,
I
love you
appreciate
too, baby sis.
Yes, love y'all. Love y'all so much. It's like that. We're going to continue going, y'all. Appreciate that. Appreciate everyone. All right. Let's pop up with the outro again. And good night, y'all. Be safe.
Good night.
All right. All
Bye.
right, y'all. Okay.
Mizzle Social Corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle Social Corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle Social Corner. I got a question for you. Are you ready to answer? Mizzle Social Corner. I got a question for you.
All right. Good night, y'all. Love you.